What's going on? Boys, today we are talking Enneagram 6s, particularly counterphobic 6s. I don't know as much about Enneagram as I would like to, and I'm working on learning. The way I always used Enneagram was as a topping for the Myers-Briggs. If you have multiple people of the same type acting differently or from different roots from each other, and those differences go deeper than just upbringing or personal general preference, that's probably Enneagram. So, general idea of what each Enneagram type is, and that's it. It is a main ingredient, Enneagram is. I'm realizing that now. I mean, I knew it was, but for my purposes, what I needed, I didn't need to go deeper into Enneagram. Now I have a reason to. A few people have mentioned I come across not as a 5 or a 5W6, but as a 6W5, and particularly a counterphobic 6. And while I think it is more of a wing than I am a 6, that wing is strong. Especially given everything that's happened the last year or so. As well as the things I want to accomplish and the goals, not the goals, the difficulties. I already said the goals, what I want to accomplish, that is a goal. The difficulties I'm dealing with right now. Plus, 6s are more interesting to talk about than 5s. The differences between phobics and counterphobics. For the longest time, my problem-solving operations involved step one, collect as much information about it as possible. Set everything up in stone, so when I go to deal with the problem, there are no questions. There's no uncertainty. This is what it is. This is what needs to happen. This is how we do it. But then there is a second stage. The second stage is the building is burning down, you're 50 flights up, and you're standing on a ledge. There's no way out. Are you standing there waiting to burn to death, or are you jumping? Counterphobic 6s, well, all 6s exist in fear and anxiety. It's constant. And phobic 6s seem to run from problems or use social nets to secure themselves and stave off problems. Counterphobic 6s desire those social nets, but when a big scary problem presents itself, they charge it with a stick. And they do it not because they're brave, but because they can't handle the anxiety of letting that problem just be out there. It exists, and if you aren't going for it, it's coming for you. So, terrified, let's just get this over with. I'd rather make a choice and die than run and never make a choice and die. Now, 5s, 6s, and 7s all seem to operate from a place of anxiety. And that isn't wrong. I don't know how deeply anxiety works with other Enneagram numbers, but for me, yes, I'm always terrified. I'm always anxious. When I sleep, I don't sleep well. Usually I have nightmares, and then I wake up, and the first thing I think is, what could have gone wrong while I was sleeping? I'm not looking forward to finding out. Or when I go out somewhere, I'm thinking, what could go wrong in this location? What are all the different things that could go wrong? And how can I prepare for them now? Now, normally I'll try to minimize that risk, that security risk, by not doing things or by avoiding things. But that isn't always an option, and that isn't healthy. Never taking risks. So you have to, or you must, take risks sometimes. And if you aren't a 5, a 6, or a 7, that may seem weird, but think about Patrice O'Neill. ENTP. I'm pretty sure 7W6. He has this, or he had this boisterous, loud, life of the room, life of the party, gift of gab energy. But he talks about the ways wherever he would go to do gigs, whatever he was doing, every hour or so, he would try to buy something and get a receipt for it. And he would keep files and files of receipts sorted by the day, by the hour, everywhere he went, at all times. Why? Because if something were to go wrong, or if there were a crime committed near him, or around him, or in his social circle, he wanted literal receipts of everywhere he had been and when he had been there. So nobody could pin something he didn't do to him. So nobody could lie and get him thrown in jail. Prison, actually, again, and ruin his life and make him never feel safe in his own home, in his own head, up until the day he died. We see what could go wrong, everything that could go wrong, because it could go wrong. Not, oh, this might happen, but there's a low probability. All it takes is one wrong move. Someone you don't know just could be having a bad day, and your life is over. And we think that way because it's fucking happened. There is evidence of it. People are shitty, the world is awful, evil is everywhere, and we have experienced it, so we need to prepare ourselves against it. Now, based on what I just said, you might be getting a sense of why 6s in particular get a bad rap. In times of trouble and emergencies, 6s, especially counterphobic 6s, reduce everything into absolutes. Usually us, me, anyone I care about, anything I believe in, versus them. People who are not me, people who want to commit harm, and they're coming after me. That leads quite handily into dogma. And 6s are the most common Enneagram type, right? Most people existing in constant fear, constant anxiety, with a drive to build social nets to oppose people perceived as threats. You can see why that could go wrong, and does go wrong. But that extrapolation is a reduction. It's big word fourth. Boys, BW4. So I see why that, or sexism, counterphobic sexism, can go wrong. But that doesn't eliminate that desire, right? You've seen those videos going around of My Little Dark Age or Blue Sky. Mr. Blue Sky? Is that the song? The compilations of fighting for a dead empire, or the next Crusades, or the old Crusades. Any us fighting for ourselves, what we believe in, defending ourselves usually from others. I understand that is a bad idea. Submitting yourself to the group does not grant you security. Your skull will get stomped right alongside the people you are, quotes, defending yourselves from immediately after that's over, right? Because if no individual in the world really is trustworthy, how can you think many individuals who aren't you ever could be trustworthy on that level? I see how that could go wrong. It will go wrong. Never submit yourself to groupthink or group action. But that doesn't eliminate the fact, if there were, theoretically, a large group of like-minded people gearing up for defense against threats that are coming, because there are always threats coming. And I knew for a fact I could trust them. We believed in the same things. And again, really could trust them. I would do it. I would be in that thing for a heartbeat. I would be in that thing for a heartbeat. Yeah, not just in a heartbeat. I would give my heart for that. Because nothing feels more securing than knowing I have a network of people I trust, absolutely trust, and like. As in, on one level, trusting or having people you can trust is okay, but unless you like them and they like you, really, and you trust them, then they aren't absolutely trustworthy. Because you're still playing the I need you to like me to keep that trust up game. But when you like someone and you trust them and they like you and trust you, so much easier. So much more believable, so much more securing. Too bad that'll never happen, because nobody's really trustworthy. Still holding out hope. We'll see. Anyway, just because Counterphobic 6 can go wrong doesn't mean it will. Once you've bonded with a Counterphobic 6, their trust, their reliability is bottomless. Now, that does come from a place of fear, but in a good way. Meaning, if someone asked me, if someone I trusted asked me to take care of their child after they died, and they had been trustworthy to me all the way through, I would. I have no idea how it would work. I don't know the logistics of it. I know it would change my life fundamentally, but I would, because I knew if I asked them to do the same, they would, and I could trust them with it, and I could rest in peace, knowing my hypothetical child is safe with them. And because I would hope that of them, I will afford them the same. But that's why I am so picky about people I befriend or enter a relationship with. Covert contracts, right? The idea people will expect something from you but won't say anything about it, might not even be aware of it themselves. I make explicit contracts with people. When I'm making a friend, especially when I'm entering a relationship, that's when you're most vulnerable. This is exactly what I'm prepared to offer. And this is exactly what I am hoping for from you. And then we hash it out, figure out what works for both of us, sign it, not literally, and agree to uphold our ends. We can adjust it later if need be, but with communication. Because if I am going to lose a limb for someone, lose an eye for someone, I want to know they would, if not do the same for me, because you don't want to put someone in that situation, but would do everything in their power to help. Someone you have their best interests in mind, and they have yours. And how do you decide what each of you's best interests are? You talk about it, and then agree on it, and then stick to that at all times. I'm picky because most people don't care about you or have your best interests in mind. They don't. You're useful to them and that's it. And even if they claim to, almost nobody will uphold a contract. There's a difference between altering a contract to adjust to the situation, or once everyone's changed, everyone changes, and shirking what you've agreed to do. People can do whatever they want, but if I'm going out on a limb for someone, if I'm making myself uncomfortable for them, to meet their needs, I want my needs met as well. And maybe I shouldn't have that outlook, but goes right back into it. If I am sacrificing to meet someone's needs, I would like my needs met, and my needs aren't many. Just trust and consistency. That's it. And that puts you in a bad place for friendships and relationships, right? My last relationship was a tire fire. I left because our long-term goals didn't align, and our short-term happiness was shit. So what's the point of staying together? So I leave. And then because once you have, maybe it's a sixth thing, maybe it isn't. Once you have that bond with anyone, seeing them in distress is distressing. And all I want is trust, security, and consistency, those aren't difficult. And seeing someone hurting without those things makes me want to provide those things. So, against my better judgment, against my instincts, I go back. And within a month, that becomes an excuse to be, or for my last partner to be shitty. Absolute horrible thing. Don't let your desire for security, for consistency, for loyalty lead you into making bad decisions. People will take advantage of you for those traits, by those traits. I'm in the middle of a weird friendship with an INTJ because, of course, INTJs, I have had overwhelmingly negative experiences with INTJs. So, of course, my current closest friend is an INTJ, and maybe one of the worst examples of them. Meets none of the things I look for really in friendships. My guard is always up, never really feel good afterward. No trust. Not just no trust as in, this is a person I don't think I could trust, but this is someone who has tried to trick me before, ignores what I want, gets whiny and pushy about it, complains, angry all the time. No consistency, no loyalty. No, let's lift each other up and look out for each other's best interests. But I am still in that friendship because I'm looking for all those things. Security, consistency. I want them from someone, so I work to give them what I'm looking for in the hopes they'll give it back to me, which, who does? Nobody. Nobody ever does. Which isn't to complain about unrealistic expectations, but to say, if you're a 6 or you have a 6 wing, or if you're just this way, don't expect people to give you what you're looking for by giving them what you're looking for. Just because you have something, just because you're selling what you're buying, doesn't mean other people are buying what you're selling or selling what you're buying. That was meant to make things simpler, and I don't think it did. But I think you get what I'm saying. So, what are the strengths of a counterphobic 6? What are the positives? 1, cognizance of threats. The world is a dangerous place. All it takes is one wrong thing to ruin your life forever. 6s are aware of that. Now, you might think they're too anxious. They might be too twitchy on the day-to-day, but there's a reason. Cognizance. Part of preparing is knowing. So the more you know, the more aware you are, the better you can handle threats when they come. Because they will. Number 2. I have a list right here. Powering up. Something I've noticed about Enneagram 8s. Again, haven't done a whole lot of reading into Enneagram, but Enneagram 8s have this calm confidence. They can confront people, they can control a room, they can control a situation. Because that's just what they do. Something I've noticed, or another thing I've noticed about 8s, regarding that confidence, that control. Once things go really bad, really fucking bad, 8s disintegrate. They're children inside. And once that externalness is blown away in atomic fire, the inside goes with it. Something I've noticed about counterphobic 6s, it's the inverse. When things are perfectly fine, Counterphobic 6s are at their worst. They're twitchy. They're looking around for threats, can't relax. Everyone's wondering, why are you freaking out? Why are you on edge? Because nothing's wrong, so why are they so guarded? But once that atomic fire hits, they don't disintegrate, they get stronger. The more shit you throw at a counterphobic 6, the stronger they become. It's inverted. I like that. I like not breaking down. I like everything being a challenge to overcome, and the more hurt and terrified you are, the more resilient you become. That's one of the reasons I like Evangelion so much. The more you break someone, the better they are. To me, that's a strength. I like it. I like that part of myself. Once the computer breaks down, the automaton body with the hatchet rises up off the ground like Murdoch in Feel Good Inc. and charges. I like it. And number 3, that trust we harped on, that reliability. You get that from counterphobic 6s. It's not just this is what we want, but once we've bonded with you and we can trust you, or shit, even if we don't trust you because we're stupid, you get the protection we would afford ourselves. That's valuable on a mechanical level. I think it's also emotionally good. It's good. Because you might say, well, I don't want someone who is friends with me or in a relationship with me in part out of fear. I think if you are someone we have selected and have developed trust for, that says a lot about who you are. Good person. Trustworthy person. I would trust them to do for me what I would do for them. And you are someone I want to share that connection with. Of all the other people. In friendships and in relationships, usually I choose one. One friend and one significant other. So if you are someone I want that with, I would consider that emotionally special. And finally, some other things, just because we're here and just because we can. I have this obsession with stock, factory issue, or universal standard. Something appeals to me about the agreed upon baseline. The absolute minimum required to function, but built to function. I like standard uniforms. I like standard vehicles. My PC, just a black case. That's it. I like standards. Not in all things, but standard appeals to me. Another thing, I've been listening to music, which I think appeals to that security side of me. I'll link some of it in the description. Something about grand purpose or internal purity. Purity not as purging yourself or limiting yourself, but purity as integrity, maybe. But not exactly, because I mean purity as purity, but what does purity mean? It means purity. Maybe that's another word like righteousness, but I will try not to overuse it. Another thing I think about, or have been thinking about, I'm realizing now, probably in relation to that 6 wing, is one day accruing enough influence to build a small slice of heaven for people I care about, i.e. Boylandia. Not going to be making attorney money, but something I was thinking about was, down the line, with enough money and enough people, facilitating the people from our channel, our little band, coming together and all living in a single city. That probably won't happen, but that is one of my goals, and I think about it a lot. Carving out a neighborhood or a zone in a city, or away from a city, just in a state, anywhere. People I care about, who care about me, who care about each other, can all be knitted together in one spot. Still like that idea. Partially why I did the 6 video. Wanted to talk about that a little bit. And that is all my thoughts on 6s. And a few other things. A half meeting INFPs video in the pipeline. Maybe a video on anger. We'll see. But that about rippity wraps this one up. I hope you enjoyed watching, because I certainly enjoyed making it. And I did enjoy making this one. I tried to make a first draft, but the first draft did not go the way I wanted it to. I was trying to talk about 3 different things, and none of them fit together particularly well. In fact, I'm concerned this video didn't fit together particularly well. But it's been I'm in a talky sort of mood. I want to talk about something mood. Get some stuff off my chest mood. Breathe mood. So 6s were the perfect excuse to talk about some things I've been thinking about in a people give a shit about this framework, Enneagram. Yeah, it's big noggin jogging. Like if you enjoyed, because that helps me out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't, because we do this shit sometimes. And comment your thoughts, because I love hearing from you. What do you guys think about Enneagram? Was this video too rambly? Something difficult about making videos nowadays, particularly in the I need to be positive mindset, is talking about negative things makes me feel negative things and takes me away from that positivity drive. So, am I being authentic if I am repressing some things and want to get them off my chest, but I know if I get them off my chest, I'm destroying something I'm trying to do? What do you think about that? But thanks again for watching, everybody. Really, we have a lot of fun on this channel. So much fun, in fact, you could fill up a big coffee cup with it, because Coffee can stress you out, but sometimes it's nice. But that's how much fun we have on this channel, and I look forward to doing this with you guys again in the future.